Hey, this is InfoShare, and today I'm going to talk to you about the AirPod Pros. That's right, the AirPod Pros are Apple's noise canceling headphones, and ever since I heard about them coming out, I was very excited about getting them. I had always wanted a pair of noise canceling headphones, and a lot of times those headphones are just humongous and they've come in weird shapes and sizes, and they're also very expensive, and I could never find the right combination of headset that I felt it made sense for me. But with this great form size and this form factor, and the ability to just have everything work with Apple, it's been great. So I do want to talk to you about a couple of my thoughts about the AirPod Pros, some of the things I liked and some of the things that I'm not so crazy about. And in case you're thinking about purchasing them, these are just some of the things that you can think about. First of all, these things fit great. I mean, I know that one of the problems that people have had with AirPods of different types is that they fall out. But these are perfect and they fit right in place in my ear and they fit perfectly. Now, there's an adjustable rubber pad right at the tip, and there are different comfort levels and different sizes that you can put on. And Apple has a tool where you can run this program to help you make sure that the fit and the seal is appropriate for your ear. And so the good news is they fit great. So if you run, you work out a lot, you're doing some more rigorous activities, there's a really good fit, and that's something I know a lot of people cared about from prior versions. The next thing to talk about is the sound quality. So one of the things that I wasn't crazy about with the first version of the AirPods was the quality of the AirPod. It was fine. I mean, it was nice to have wireless. I liked the size, but I was never really that happy with the quality of the sound. I knew there were a lot of third-party wireless headphones, but like I talked about before, they were just way too big and there's just nothing that I would have wanted to use. But the sound quality on these is pretty good. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's pretty good. The bass is definitely more responsive than the AirPods, and I'm sure that there are lots of videos that have tested the ability to produce at different wavelengths, but just my qualitative assessment is you're not going to be unhappy with the quality of the AirPod Pros when it comes to sound. The thing that I think is really important that I want to talk about is the noise canceling capability. One of the things that I really wanted, like I mentioned before, was the ability to just block out sounds. And for a lot of people who have been interested in noise canceling headphones, they've had noise canceling headphones for years. Maybe they were business travelers and they took the Bose headphones. But there are a lot of people that are really fairly new to noise canceling, and the AirPod Pros are the first time they're really getting a chance to experience what it's like to have noise canceling. And I'll tell you, just as someone who goes to public places, I'm in a big city, I might go to a Starbucks or walk down the street, the having noise canceling capability is really life changing. And I mean that obviously with good context of everything else in the world, but to be able to go to a Starbucks or a coffee place or walk down the street and to be able to block out the sound, that's awesome. And I know a lot of other headphones can do that, so that in itself really isn't the magic. But to be able to have the headphones have with the noise canceling capability and having that integration with the Apple product line and the form factor and the size of these things, it's really, really compelling. And have noise canceling in this form factor is awesome. The next thing I want to talk about is a little bit what I just touched on, and it's the integration of the AirPod Pros with the Apple product line. So obviously, if you're buying an Apple product, one of the things that you get is just really tight integration with Apple products. And I can tell you that between my iPad, my iPhone, and my MacBook Pro, I can seamlessly go back and forth and connect my AirPod Pros to each of those devices, just going from one to another and seamlessly selecting the AirPod Pro from each of those devices. So it doesn't require a lot of configuration. If you configure it on one device, your other devices automatically know about it. And look, that's just the benefit that you get of doing something with Apple. They just have mastered that, and they've got that totally down in terms of the integration. One of the things that you get with the noise canceling capability is the ability to have what's called transparency mode. So transparency mode is where Apple will cut out the noise canceling, but it will allow sounds from outside to go in through the headphones. So like I talked about, there's a seal that goes along your ear to block out the sounds for the noise canceling. But there's always a risk that you're walking down the street, you may not hear certain things. And so the transparency mode allows the noise canceling to be turned off and to almost amplify sounds externally. You know, it's interesting. I think that the transparency mode in some ways is almost like a hearing aid, that it actually increases the volume level of what you hear outside. And I just find it really valuable to have both modes and to be able to use both modes. And one of the ways that you can switch is that you can instruct Siri to go ahead and make an adjustment to transparency mode, either turning it on or off. You can also hold down the stem of the AirPod Pro and that will trigger transparency mode on or off. So all different kinds of ways to do that. But transparency mode really is a really critical part of the AirPod Pros and balances out well with the noise canceling capability. All right, so I love the AirPod Pros. They're awesome, but not everything is good. And so let me talk to you a little bit about those things. Some of them may not be unique to Apple, but they are things that you need to be aware of if you're considering getting headphones like this. The first one is I live in a winter climate. So when I first got these AirPod Pros, it was during the winter months. I had a hat on, and while I was in transparency mode, the hat would rub over the AirPod Pros. So I'd hear this kind of scratchy sound, and it was the sound of the material of my hat rubbing on the microphone on the outside. So that was a little bit annoying. If you're in a warmer climate or you're wearing a baseball cap as opposed to a winter knit cap, you're not gonna have that issue. But if you're in a winter climate and you've got a knit hat on or something like that, and you've got transparency mode on, you're gonna hear that sound. The second thing that I really, really, really don't like and I miss about the original AirPods is that if you wanted to answer a call, hang up a call, stop, start music, you had the ability to tap on the bud. And it was great. It worked really well. Even in the winter when I had a hat on, I could just tap over my ear. Now I'm sure I looked incredibly silly, kind of using a full hand tap on the side of my head, but it was really effective. And that all changed in the AirPod Pros. There's no longer the ability to do that type of double tap. And so now if you want to answer a call, hang up a call, you need to press on the stem, the very bottom base here. You need to hold on to that. And that is really, really frustrating because it just, when you're in a winter climate, it just doesn't work that great. So not the end of the world, but just a shortcoming. So one of the things that's a little bit more difficult with the AirPod Pros, especially coming from the AirPods, is how this case works and how the AirPod buds fit in. So they are not as simple as you would think. They definitely take time. Obviously, there's only one way for them to go in. But believe it or not, it does take a little bit of practice on how to get them in and how to take them out. Not hard, but if you're coming from the AirPods, the regular AirPods, where you were just able to put them in, put them out, this just takes a little bit of learning. Once you get it, it's really easy. But in the beginning, it can be a little bit of a challenge. All right, so that's my complete review of the AirPod Pros. Overall, these things are great and they're expensive. So before you drop, $200 plus on a pair of these AirPod Pros, you want to make sure that they're right for you. And I think that the noise canceling is awesome. Form factor is great. The build quality feels really good. The integration with the whole Apple suite is awesome. So, they come with a strong recommendation from me, and I've been really happy with them. So hopefully this review was helpful for you. And thanks for watching. This is InfoShare, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.